fourth co-op principle is about autonomy and control by the members themselves. It may be obvious in other principles that talk about co-ops being democratically governed, but in this case we're talking about the temptation to maybe yield a little bit of control to other organizations who may wish to partner or may want to loan money to a co-op.
And we've always been very mindful of that, of who our customer member owners are, and we've never wanted to get diluted or have somebody else who doesn't have the stakes in the game that our members do, and so we have to respect their interests.
This principle reinforces the idea that co-ops are not to yield any part of their control or their identity to other parties.
Every decision in the boardroom, one looks at what works for the person at the end of the line, the member.
The board does not make decisions based on what will benefit just one person. Whether that one person has a large sum of money deposited here or has a large book of loans with us versus somebody who just keeps a small amount in here or doesn't have any loan volume at all. We make policy that benefits all of them equally.
We still operate under our own organization's board and bylaws. So undue influence really has a check at the door when it comes to our bylaws and our board.
Fundamental in this is that co-ops exist to serve the interests of their members and their members only. And it's a basic concept that must be preserved by the board of directors at all costs.
Every member gets treated equally in this gamut of the decisions. So it's a real shared proposition for the member. And that's very prominent in our boardroom and our discussions with staff.
Everyone is created equal, and the way we're set up, as long as they're an agriculture customer of ours, they are the ones with the voting rights, and every member has one vote. We do not have anyone with any more power than anyone else.
When we've sat in board meetings, we equally look at the influence of each of these producers on our operation, and so they're all looked at as important. Otherwise, there wouldn't be a co-op, it'd be a business that catered to probably the large members, but we do have large, medium, and small, and so we have to structure our equipment and our operations and our management to fit that.
We actually utilize multiple banks for our operation. Two of those are cooperative banks, and then we use one local bank here to do our lending.
Throughout our day-to-day and yearly operation, we have different times where we need additional cash. So we do have an operating loan, ironically, with a co-op lending institution that only loans out money to egg-producing co-ops.
We do use the two major cooperative lending institutions in our industry, which are CoBank and CFC. They're both cooperative banks, and use them to get the lowest cost that we can. If we have a lending need or a borrowing need, we compare rates between the two banks and use the one that's most favorable for our members to keep their costs as low as possible.
We also do business with our credit union, which is another co-op. So we try to keep our lending institutions in the co-op world.
They don't have any say over the governance of the institution like Flathead Electric, but they have a say because with each lending arrangement we have covenants that the utility has to attain. So those financial covenants require decisions to be made by the board. So that's one of the nice things about being a true democracy, one member, one vote. Our board represents those members on all decisions, and they are the regulatory body that oversees the operations of the cooperative.
When we get into these joint ventures, even with CHS as a whole, we create these LLCs, and the governance then becomes whatever that voting is within that LLC, but each one maintains their total autonomy for their own operation.
We're aware of the situations where they are trying to pressure and work their way in. But again, I mean, if you keep that customer member base as, hey, you know, what's the best? We put our board member hats on and try to take our personal and farmer hats off when we come in the boardroom just to make sure that this doesn't happen for an advantage to any one company or any one board member or management. I mean, it's all about the customers.
But we have a lot of relationships with a lot of businesses. Obviously, we try to use our local businesses for any of our business that we can.
Working together with co-ops is an easy work together because our goals are very similar. We're working to maintain a bottom line for our patronage, but still able to look long-term of what's best for our customer owners.
So Circle actually has a large number of co-ops here, and we do try to serve as many of them as we can. But they have some unique needs, and they have different business models that we try to serve them to the best of our abilities while still maintaining, compliance with our policy and maintaining the integrity of our institution.
The vendors work for us, and ultimately Interbell is responsible for their performance. However, without those vendors, the things that we can get done wouldn't happen nearly as quickly with our own resources. So it's a great opportunity, again, to support other organizations apart from ourselves.
We're an agricultural supply cooperative. We have lots of vendors. We get to draw from wherever we need to and whatever suits the best for us. We're not lockstepped into one, and the vendors understand it. What's beautiful, they understand our business model, what we're trying to do.
The members are obviously the owners of the electric cooperative, and the board is there to represent those members' interests, and the board is the ultimate regulatory authority, and that there is no influence from our vendors. So we have policies and procedures that are there to protect the members' interest as well.
Our governance board deals with operation in that. Probably if any discussion we get it within the board, they want to make sure that we are truly using the full platform of vendors and not locking ourselves into one of them.
We are the purchaser, so there's always the option for us to walk away from that vendor. So we are not beholden really to any vendor or other organization in as much as there aren't other options in most cases.
As far as vendor relationships, we analyze every single contract that we enter into. We always do our homework, and before the board makes a decision on which contract they'll enter into. We don't necessarily focus on one vendor for everything, so that doesn't put us at as much risk.
There are times when a co-op needs to enter into business partnerships or into capital arrangements with banks, with other folks who are investing in the co-op, and there's a temptation to share some decision-making or share some power with another entity. Principle 4 reminds us that the interest of the member owners of the co-op is paramount.